Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Bones of the Story. Jen and I are here, and we are talking about, do character deaths make a fantasy story better? And I'm curious, Jen, what triggered this topic?
So a couple of things ended up triggering it. One, I'm currently reading Quicksilver, and well, actually, I'm in Brimstone. Yes. We're very excited. And so far there hasn't been any like gut-wrenching character deaths, and yeah, I mean, I'm only like I think halfway. I'm not sure how far I am. Probably a little less than halfway through. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, I enjoy books where I can still connect with the characters. It still pulls at my heartstrings, but like, we're not reliving Liam and Day or, the Surreal, or, I could think of 100 other ones. But then I got to thinking about the books that I think about, the books that like I'm sleeping or I'm falling asleep and I'm just like, ugh, that character hit me. Like it just hits you out of nowhere. Like the ones that you just continue thinking about for months or years after you finished it. For me, it's the books that had the biggest emotional impact around a character death. And I'm wondering if having moments of impact like that make maybe not the story better, but at the very least, like, it makes it more memorable. It makes it something that like you continue thinking about months after it's passed, or that kind of thing. Because like I think about this, like there's this couple that I think about all of the time. I finished the book probably close to a year ago, and like Alex Warren is releasing a new song, and I listened to the lyrics and everybody was like, oh my god, this is so sad and violent. I'm like, no, it's not. It is this couple, and they deserve this song more than any other couple that has ever existed in the fantasy world. Fuck off. So, I have really strong feelings, about this, and I just got to thinking, I'm like, I love ACOTAR. Everybody knows, like, I'm a big ACOTAR girly. Shut up. But the series that I think about and wonder, like, what's happening now is Throne of Glass. I'm wondering, like, what's happening with Manon. I'm wondering, like, how is Aelin adjusting to her kingdom? I'm wondering how Lysandra is, doing. And like, how are they healing? How are they moving forward? And I'm just like, mother of pearl. It's like they had really impactful character deaths.
I think this is fascinating. I love this, especially as somebody who doesn't normally care if people live or die in books for specific reasons. But as you were talking, I was thinking, I had a couple of thoughts. And one was, is it because it's messy? It's not straight-laced cut. The deaths make things messy in the story, and we normally either remember or connect things that are messy than potentially good. Not to say that we don't have the good memories, but like if it's a sense or something, like if you were reading it while you were drinking the new, holiday coffee at your local coffee shop, and then the season comes and you smell it, and then you have this memory of, oh my gosh, this messy thing happened.
Yeah.
if that's why it triggers more so than it just being like laid out to where, okay, well, they're going to struggle a little bit. So let's take the ACOTAR throne of glass. Like, Feyre and Rhys are going to struggle a little bit, but they're kind of like and they ended in like a sweet spot, so to speak. And it may
Right,
just be the
yeah.
things around them versus, that Manon just like lost her whole tribe. Like, that's something different. And so it's like, okay, how do you come back from that? I'm having these 13 women with you your whole life. You
Yeah.
marry Dorian is what you do. And you give him hell and he gives you hell. And you guys have a lot of fun. And we get that story. Okay.
Right.
I think that's fascinating. But I also think that you're one of the special people who take things to an extra level to where like you continue to think about the characters. I don't know if
Oh,
I do that.
ever?
I mean,
Like, even not with Bonds? You're not wondering what Ollie and them are up to?
I don't think so. No.
Oh my god. So what you're saying, what I'm hearing is I'm weird again.
No. Okay, so this is what I'm just thinking. I'm thinking because if I start to miss the characters, I just go and reread their book. So maybe I'm not separating myself to imagining what they could potentially be doing because when I get the craving for bonds that tie Ollie and North and Knox and Griffin, I just pick up the book and I read it. And so I just go visit them again. But you're not a rereader, so maybe that might be one of those things. That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
that is interesting. That's a good possible like spin on it. I don't know. I know that and honestly, this is why I have stopped reading as much romantasy as I used to because I am so I'm so intensely emotionally connected to those kinds of books that it physically affects me. Like if what I'm reading is like negative and it's happening and like there's a lot of things up in the air or the main character's scared or like I take on a lot of those emotions. So I think maybe that's why the character deaths affect me as much as they do. It legitimately feels like I've lost a friend.
This is fascinating because now I'm going to take it a step further and be like, I think I read too many dark things that maybe I've conditioned myself not to like get that invested. Now that's not to say that as I'm reading I'm not invested because if I even get the hint of thinking that I'm going to have anxiety, I need to read the end of the page, the end of the book. Like I guess I don't let myself set in those feelings. I'm like, I need to know what happens, who lives, who dies, who gets together. I don't. I want to. Yeah, I'm wondering. That's so fascinating. I'm trying to think if I
I
have ever been emotionally connected to a series or a
I'll be
book.
now that you said that, like I don't do it as much, especially now with the dark romance books. Or like if I feel like I'm too emotionally connected to those types of books, that's when I have to take a longer break
Okay.
because it will negatively impact my mood pretty intensely. So like that's why if we if we're reading like fucking Dead Taylor's Soldier, whatever, that one, or like 24690, like those books. After reading them, like I probably didn't pick up a dark romance again for a couple of weeks because I do have to have that separation. Like once I feel it like start settling in my body, then I'm like, okay, pause. So I do have to be careful about that kind of thing. And that's why like I don't read a lot of I don't binge dark romance books a lot of the time, or I don't binge romantasy or fantasy books anymore because I can't handle the emotional dysregulation.
That's fascinating. I wish we had like a brain scanner so we could like take pictures of our brain as we're saying, like reading the same book or the scenes. I think that would be so interesting to see how it lights up.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. I mean, and this is me with everything. I feel like this is why I don't watch TV series anymore. I don't watch a lot of like scary movies. Like I'm just very cognizant of the media that I take in because I'm so empathetic. Like there is not a fucking day that I log on to TikTok and I scroll for longer than 20 minutes and I'm not bawling my eyes out at something. Like it's awful. You know, so like I have to be really cognizant of the media that I am constantly taking in because I take it to heart so much. So it's the biggest reason why I stepped away from romantasy for, I don't think I read anything for like almost 2 years. It was a good 18 months without like any of the heavy hitter romantasy for sure.
That's interesting. Huh. Sometimes I wish I could be that way, and then I'm like, nah, I'm okay. Of being able to like have that, I guess, that deeper connection with reading. But back to your question, or back to your theory. I don't know if it makes the fantasy novel better, but I think I have to think about this because you brought up Liam's death, and I just think that was a waste of space. Like there was no reason for it. It was just there. And so I feel like that also plays a part in it too. Like, does the death have meaning? Or are you just killing off a character because you don't want to write them no more? Like, what's the purpose of the death? Especially if you spent so much time introducing and writing and developing the character.
But I think that's the crux. I think that's the crux of the question. Like, was Liam's death like meaningless in the moment? Maybe I think you could argue me to an agreeable point with you, but here's my other side of the coin. They're fighting a war. They are going up against this, awful enemy who has these powers, and these are kids who, I think Liam was in the academy for 2 years, maybe 3. I think when you lose characters like that, it makes the story more believable. It makes you more invested in them winning in the end because they've already lost so much. So I feel like you almost root for them more because they are losing people who they've grown up with, who they've forged these bonds with, who have gone out on a limb to protect Violet or her squad. I hate, obviously I was a wreck when Liam and Day died, but I think when you allow your story, especially when you're talking fantasy romantasy, to develop without any real grief or strife or heartache, you're robbing your characters of that development. Like, I love Rhys and Feyre. Love them to pieces. But, like, Feyre going through Under the Mountain was... And then the subsequent, you know, abuse from Tamlin, like, God, I'm gonna get roasted alive if our podcast like hits big downloads. But that was the most traumatic thing that she went through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course you have like her human life and like feeding her family and that kind of thing. But like the biggest loss that she experienced in the series was the Suriel. And like, obviously, yes, that's heartbreaking that we lost the Suriel, and like the Suriel chose to be there and make that sacrifice for Feyre. Like, that's a whole clusterfuck, sure. But I feel like that is a lot different than Manon losing the 13.
Mm-hmm.
Or Aelin losing Gabriel. You know, like, yeah, I feel like it's a lot. I think it builds stronger characters, which builds stronger stories.
I'm trying to find a logical argument to what you just said because I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't.
I'm shocked. Okay, listen, I'm absolutely floored that you aren't arguing in the same vein because you're for character deaths. Like, you love when people die.
But it has to be meaningful. I don't like it to be wasted. Like, take the High Mountain Court. Like, this whole entire time, she doesn't know that her brother's alive. And as soon as her brother hits the page, you flip it and he's dead. Like, what was the point of that?
No, like, I completely agree in that scenario.
The 13, I felt it has to be justified for me. The death has to be justified as the reader. That was justified. The one dude's dad in Throne of Glass, where he goes to like stop the people so they can close the door, that was a meaningless, wasteful death. That didn't need to happen. You know what I'm saying? So like, for me, I'm just gonna have to go with it has to be I have to logically justify it in my head for it to make sense, for it to be okay. And the ones that aren't okay are the ones that piss me off. And I don't feel like Liam's death was meaningful. I mean, I still haven't read the third book, so like, who knows? Maybe they talk about it in the third book, or maybe they'll talk about it in this short story that's coming up. Because let me tell you something, that I'm gonna go on a tangent. If the book that she's releasing in September is Liam's story, I'm going to lose my motherfucking mind because he is dead. And there's no reason for us to have his story. Think about the stupid story that we hate, the bird story, the flocking story, flock.
No, yeah. Mm-hmm. Ravenhood series.
Thank you. You have a character that's dead, that died in the original series, and now all of a sudden he's getting a spinoff? What?
Well, that's because he was the most loved character, and the author probably wanted to make more money. Let's be honest. I don't think it was ever in the original plan.
I just see
the same thing happening with Liam. Like, he is a very lovable character. People still talk about him. If she wants to make a little extra money, then Liam's short story would do it.
I'm not happy about that at all.
I mean, I'm not either. I refuse to read Dom's book because I have the same opinion as you. Like, I don't have a whole lot of interest in prequels. I don't have a whole lot of interest in like Xaden's point of view, or they did Castiel's point of view. Like, I don't really give a shit. Like, it's happened. You know what happened.
Are you kidding me? I would love to be in Xaden's head through the first book. Okay, I would love to see his perspective of V.
But we have his point of view in Iron Flame and Onyx Storm, right? You wouldn't know Onyx Storm, but we have it in Iron Flame, right? They go dual point of view in the second book, right?
I read that book a very long time ago. I don't remember.
Hold on. Now I need to know.
I don't think
Are you
so.
still Unlimited?
Yeah, they are.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Maybe not.
I don't think so. I think it's all from her perspective. And it might change in Onyx Storm, but again, I haven't read that, so I don't know. But I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe not. Okay. Regardless, I feel like I don't know. I don't.
And I'm not saying that we would need it for the whole series, but because I think of like Divergent and like being in Four's head as he like watches Triss progress and like become strong and like fall in love with her. Like I would love to see that from X's perspective. Like I just think that that would be really interesting as he challenges her and as he puts the pieces together of how is she winning because she's poisoning the people and like him being like, she's clever. Okay,
Yeah.
now swoon, like, and it doesn't have to be like every scene, but I think like the high point scenes, especially when he comes up to there and she's like holding off Jack from killing, mini dragon because Andromeda and Drain, Andy, I'm just gonna call her Andy,
Darna.
whatever, and him just being like, what the fuck is she thinking? She knows she can't do this, but then being like, don't even think about taking a step towards my girl. Like, I think that would be fantastic. Somebody wrote a fan fiction from his perspective. I need to read it.
I believe
There
it.
is one.
I want to experience more of the world. I don't want to re-experience what I already know is happening. So, like I struggled with the second duology in the Bridge Kingdom series with Karis and I think her name is Zara. Yeah, that sounds right. Karis and Zara. Like so much of book 1 is everything that happened in books 1 and 2 of the series, the first duology. So I'm just like, I'm getting a different perspective, sure, but like I still don't really care. I already know what's going to happen. And like there were some different scenes, but not enough to intrigue me enough into that couple. Like I don't normally read bonus scenes that authors email out, or like this Barnes and Noble has this bonus scene and Target has this one and Walmart has. I don't care. Just give me the fucking book. I just want to read what happened. I don't care about the Christmas exchange from earlier in the year. I don't care. Just I want to continue with the story.
Jen, this explains so much. I just had an epiphany. So what I'm hearing, and I just want to reiterate to make sure I understand this, is like you like what's happening in the worlds and making an emotional connection with the characters is second to what you're reading. And my example for this is obviously ACOTAR. That novella, you don't like that novella.
Yes,
Is that
I do.
correct? I thought you didn't like
No.
that novella.
Listen, when I first read Frost and Starlight, let me think, I started in 2021. So for the first 4 years after I read it, I read Frost and Starlight every Christmas.
Okay.
Last year is the first Christmas I hadn't.
Well, then that was a horrible example because I was going to say I know a lot of maybe it might be Jenny, one of you doesn't
Jenny,
like that. And I think it's because they're stagnant, right? It's showing them, okay, what do you do after the war? And it's like their everyday life. And normally I hate the, everyday life books. Ugh, gag me. But that one, I liked it. It took a step forward of just saying, oh, well, they won the war and then it's happily ever after. It's this transition of, well, what do we do when we don't have to be at the war council or like all the things? So I really enjoyed that. But it was more of the character. So the world's already built, but that defeats my argument. So let's get rid of that example.
It literally like proves my point because I loved it. Well, and there's a scene in Frost and Starlight that the first time I read it impacted me the way Nesta's lake scene did. And no one talks about it. When Feyre is in the rainbow, and I can legitimately play the entire scene like as a movie in my head. She goes into this shop, and there is a woman there who has created a tapestry.
The black
and
tapestry.
It's the black tapestry. And like it speaks to Feyre about grief and like how much they've gone through and how far they've come. And then you find out that the shop owner's husband, like her mate, her male, died, I think, in the rainbow attack. And that was her way of processing her grief. And I lost it. Like, when you hear Feyre's like monologue about what that piece means to her, and like you hear the story on it, like that's the kind of stuff that I want to read about when when romantasy is over. Like that's, I want to know, like, how are they moving forward? How are they healing? Because at the end of the day, they've all gone through trauma, and they're all processing different ways of, what they're mourning and who they're mourning and how they're grieving. So like I love Frost and Starlight because we got glimpses of life outside of war. You got to see Morrigan on her horses, which, hello, I'm an equestrian. Like, that was amazing. So I loved it because it gives you an opportunity to connect with them on like a life level, not a fighting for your lives level.
So then why don't you like bonus scenes? Because that gives you like an update of what's happening.
Because most of the time, like, unless it's part of a series or like epilogues, love epilogues. I read epilogues like my life depends on it. I don't know how I have heard people who don't read epilogues. I'm like, what do you mean you don't read epilogues? It's literally how the story ends.
Yeah.
So like epilogues is where I get all of my satisfaction from, and like in like all of the contemporary stuff like that reread, because most romantasy, like, there's not a whole lot of epilogue action because you're wrapped up. But with like the dark romance or contemporary romance, the epilogue is where I'm at. But otherwise, like, bonus scenes are fine, but I'm not going to give you my email to read a bonus scene.
Gotcha.
The only exception, and this will not surprise you, is Danielle L. Jensen released a like short story for Laura and Aaron. And it was only released for like, I think, a limited amount of time, and you could only download it. It was never like printed. She got everything she wanted for me to get that. Like that, you can have my email, you can have my social security number, like you can have whatever you want.
Here's a drop of my blood.
Yes, exactly. Strand of my hair, fingernail clipping, like whatever you want.
I didn't know that. Was it good?
It was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's a very, I think it was less than 30 pages. And part of it was her like meeting the readers wanting more spicy content. So there was a bit of spice in it. But I really enjoyed it as like, it was a continuation from where the Traitor Queen left off, if I remember correctly. And I would still buy a printed copy of that if it ever came out. Like, I just love that couple.
Okay. I don't have a counter argument, but I do find that fascinating. I do. I'm trying to think if there's any book that's ever like, I think for me that the books that stand out the most are not necessarily, and they're not even, well, one of them's fantasy, but like especially when I think about, and this may be going a little off topic, when you talk about like your top favorite books, like for a reader, that's very hard to do. But for me, I have a specific 3, not because of the content of the book, but because how the book shaped me as a reader.
Right. Yeah.
So like, I kind of like get that, but like, I'm trying to think of all the books that I've read, if they're did I like it because of the death or not the death? And
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that. I'm like, I'm going through like my urban fantasy. Like, I'm just thinking like Patricia Briggs. Has there been any deaths in there? If there's been deaths, I blocked them. And I guess that also I think makes a difference between, because I'm thinking like romantasy, fantasy, and then like a romance. So like my
Mm-hmm.
urban fantasy. I don't, because I mean people die. Okay, we're talking war, right? So let's just kind of like go back to the Fourth Wing and like Throne of Glass and like ACOTAR and all that. Bonds that tie, they're in a war too, and people die, but I don't think any of like the main characters die, which I'm very happy about because I love all of those characters, right? So
I I think it takes a special cast of characters in order for
mhm,
it to work. Like, it has to be a character that you've connected well enough where it's going to hit you in the stomach, but you can't kill off like Feyre and get away with it. Like, I'm petrified that SJM is going to take out Cassian. I don't know how she could do that and maintain her fandom. Like, you can't. I feel like you have to be really careful on how you do it. Like, if you look at Throne of Glass, I think Throne of Glass is a fantastic example of how a author built a cast of characters that was so broad that you were able to connect with all of them, and losing the 13 was still one of the worst like losses a reader could experience, but it wasn't, you weren't killing Manon, you weren't killing Dorian, you weren't,
right.
like, you were, your main characters stayed while still and it was the same thing for the book that I continue thinking about, that couple. It probably took me 3 or 4 days to stop grieving that loss in the book that I'm thinking about. And I don't remember another character death affecting me that long, like for that many consecutive days, or like I couldn't even read the name without sobbing.
Jen,
Um,
I know that you're
yes,
deliberately not saying the name of the book. And I
I
swear to
am.
God, if it's the book that I'm currently reading right now, I'm going to lose my mind. But I'm not looking at you because I don't want to see your face expression. Yes.
No, it's not that one.
Okay. Thank the Lord. Okay. So as you were talking, I was thinking, because that's true. It does have to be a specific kind of character. So now I kind of want to bring up Ferris from and
Mm,
Fisher from Emerald Lakes.
mm-hmm.
That, yeah, that hit me. But then I just read the next book, and then they got him back, so like it was okay. Like,
Okay, but here is where I like. Okay, perfect example, kind of the same thing in ACOTAR? No, ACO War, when Reese dies.
mm,
Didn't bother me a bit. I mean, I did not, I just didn't believe it. Like, it
right,
wasn't believable because there's no, now maybe if I was reading the series in real time, like if I had read it as it had come out and I hadn't like seen as much on TikTok and that kind of thing by the time I read it, maybe I would have fallen for it. But you don't kill that character. Like you're just not going to kill that character. So I do think it takes us a special kind of character. Like, we lost a character, I think it was an Onyx Storm.
oh my gosh,
It was either Iron Flame or Onyx Storm. I can't remember which one. And like, it sucked, but she was, damn it,
it's
just on
Iron
the out.
Flame.
Is it?
You know the one
Okay.
where she jumps
I think so.
and they try and grab her and they can't and she falls?
Maybe. I
I'm
think
pretty
so.
sure because they're going up the mountain to get the griffins or goats
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So like they're just on the outside of it enough where like it's not going to wreck you, but it is going to have an impact on the characters and on your connection, I think.
Did you read the Divergent series?
Yep.
Okay.
Fuck Veronica Roth. That's all I have to say on that. I have refused, and this is why. This is why I will never, never, ever read another one of her books because of what she did to Triss. I now that was a pointless fucking death. No reason for it. That is a like legitimately I threw the book across the room. I can picture this like it happened yesterday. I threw the book. I was like rage baited so hard. I texted my best friend and like all caps. I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm never reading her. And I haven't. I will never pick up another one of her books because you do not do that to your main character.
I have a counter argument for that.
Yeah, I know.
Now, was I upset that she killed Tress? Yes, I was. But I'm surprised that people didn't see it coming because Triss is very a selfish character, I feel like, and
Yeah.
she has to do it because nobody else can do it as good as she can. There
Yeah.
was no way she was going to let her brother do that. Not because she cared about him. I mean, factions over blood or whatever. But she was just like, he's going to screw it up, so I have to do it. Nobody else can do it but me.
Yeah.
And I just think that that was a horrible way to write your main character.
I completely agree.
But I saw it coming.
I don't remember if I saw it coming. I remember being absolutely like all I could see was red. I have never been so angry, like legit rage with a book before in my life. Ever. Like anything that you and I have read, anything that I have read like nothing has pissed me off the way the ending of that series did. And I completely agree. I think Triss was a very selfish character, and Ford deserved so much better.
He did. He
I was
deserved
so
a partner.
happy. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So I'm glad we can agree on that.
Hold on. Let's back up for a second. Okay. Play devil's advocate for a second. You love Aelin.
I do love Aelin.
Tell me the difference between Aelin and Triss, other than that Aelin lived. Because Aelin could have died and left Rowan in the exact same position 105 times. And she was not doing anything different than Triss was doing.
Hold on, I have to think for a second. I don't feel like Aelin was being selfish, though.
She kept every single plan under wraps from her mate and every person she trusted. She was spinning behind their backs the entire
time. This is the same argument that we are going to have forever and ever and ever. She told them, okay, I'm going to go write some letters. Like, she might not have told them what she was putting in the letters, but she told them that she was making plans. And I feel like okay, so we're talking fantasy versus dystopian, right? In the fantasy, right. I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons, and it's not because Aelin didn't trust everybody. I think she didn't tell them for a couple of reasons. I think she didn't tell them for one is they would probably talk her out of it because they're like, there's no way you can pull this off. And you never know who's around listening, because I don't remember exactly all of their powers, but I'm pretty sure she was worried about you didn't know who was infected by the people from the other place. I know we learned that it ends up being 3 people, but like, I just feel like she was. You need to give me more time to counter this argument. And the reason why I say I don't think that she is being selfish is because she doesn't want to be there and she doesn't want to be doing it, but she does it because it's what's best for the people that she loves and cares about around her. Where
I will
Triss,
concede that I don't think that Aelin is selfish in the way that Triss is. I think Aelin is selfish in that she should have shared her plans at the very least with her mate, and she didn't. And that will be a point that pisses me the fuck off for the rest of the time.
So now I'm going to play devil's advocate. What difference would it make if he knew or didn't know? The specific details.
Because you can help strategize. So he knows they're going to arrive at a certain place. They could have left the beach and nobody would have been there. And they would have known where to go or how to get there or who to help. Like, there are so many reasons to share with somebody what's going to happen. She gets taken. They happen to arrive when they were needed. But if they were a day later, the whole thing would have gone to shit. Because no one knew they were coming.
I think, because I don't remember the specific details, but I'm pretty sure she told them that they had to be there at a specific day and time. Right? Didn't she?
I don't know.
So then I think you're actually just arguing for, like, if they can't take a simple order from their queen to be at this place at this right time to meet the people. I mean, I'm grasping at straws because I don't remember, but still.
A little bit.
I'm actually gonna swing my argument just a little bit.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it's from her perspective, right? The series?
Aelin's perspective?
Yeah. Is it, or is it in third person?
I don't remember.
It could potentially be that the author wrote it that way on purpose so that us as the reader don't know. Because if she shares it, that spoils the whole surprise. And it was that is like my favorite scene. Yeah. Where she's like, I told you I was going to write some letters. Like, what did you think I was doing? I don't write letters. Like, obviously that's your clue. I'm planning. Like, let me go back and reread, okay? And then I'll come up with a better argument.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason that people get pissed off at Rhysand for not telling Feyre that she was going to die in pregnancy.
That's
smaller scale, yes, but like, he still should have shared what was happening with his fucking mate.
No, I disagree with that.
I would want to know if I was at risk for dying and I was pregnant.
Yeah, but that would have tarnished your whole pregnancy.
Then it tarnishes the pregnancy. At least I'm aware of what's happening. I can cherish. If I know I have a high probability of dying in pregnancy, then I can cherish the time I have left and spend it doing things that are meaningful and important to me, rather than clocking into work and walking around fucking Rainbow. Like, I'm going to go do other things, and you stole that time from me.
That's so fascinating. I wouldn't want to know. I guess maybe that's why I agree with him, is because I personally wouldn't want to know.
No, I would absolutely want to know.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I respect that other people wouldn't, but I feel like that's a conversation you have with your partner. It's not
I think that's a
a
conversation you have before you get knocked up.
well, yeah.
Like, they should have had that there might be complications. But I was with him of not telling her, because wasn't he like trying to find something to help?
Oh yeah. I mean, he was
So
scouring everywhere to, try and fix it. But in
yeah.
my opinion, if you keep something like that, it's I feel like you're robbing them of their time. And time is the most valuable commodity that we have.
Mm-hmm. But his natural instinct is to protect her. So Jen, you're amazing and I love you.
And what she really means is, I got her blood pressure up. She's pissed off.
Oh no, I just love how your mind works and how you get me to think about things. And that you challenge me, so.
Well, you do the same to me, and I mean, that's why I love these conversations, because we can agree to disagree, we can go back and forth and concede to each other's points. Like, I think it's so fun, and I do think it's interesting to find like how other people read and like how it affects them, and like, do you get the movie in your head, or do you do you not like, I think it's fascinating that tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of women have created this space where we can enjoy these books and talk about these books, and and I think for the most part we're all respectful of how we experience them.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a community, as the community as a whole.
Agreed. It is really fantastic.
Yeah.
So back to your original question. I think, like you said, it depends on how the author writes them. I think it depends on the reason, and I think it depends on the group and the setting.
Yeah.
Although I still
Agreed.
disagree about Liam, but
I mean, I think you could argue, and I would agree with Liam. One of the things that I like, love, hate about Rebecca is that she isn't afraid to take out characters that I think most authors wouldn't touch.
mm-hmm.
And I think she does it well. And I think it makes sense in the context of what they're going through. And as much as I enjoy romantasy and fantasy, like, for me, I think for it to leave a lasting impact, it has to be believable, and you can't go through a war without losing people.
That's true.
I think, oh my God, this is so much longer than we anticipated. I think that's part of why people didn't connect with Crescent City as much as they do with Throne of Glass or even ACOTAR, because Crescent City, you didn't have any like huge losses. Like, everyone made it out. I think the biggest loss, I mean, obviously you have Danica at the very, very beginning, but like from there on, everyone pretty much stays intact. You got Veronica at the bottomless pit of the sea or whatever still, but no one seems to care.
I'm thinking. I hated everything after book one. So
you do lose Lahaba,
the fairy, right, in the library. Yeah. That was
yeah, that was.
That
but
was
again,
sad.
but like, I loved book one. You liked book one. I love
book one. I don't read anything after book one. And
That's
I don't know if it's because nobody died. I just think it's fucking stupid. Okay.
Well, but I think it all plays into it. Like, I don't think you can go against 8 immortal beings, and everybody just come out peachy keen on the other side.
Yeah, I think you're right, because like book 1 in Crescent City, and I think, okay, this is going to be the argument to your point. I didn't read Crescent City for a very long time because our P&R book club was like, it's rubbish, right? And I'm like, well, if you guys think it's trash, then I'm really going to think it's trash. But then I had to read it because we did our episode of, the worlds of SJM. And this is probably going to sound horrible, and I probably said it before. This is why I don't read reviews and listen to other people, because they don't give context, which is why I started the podcast, is to give context as to why things are rubbish or good or whatever. I'm like, her best friend and her mate die like in chapter 2. Like, what the fuck do you mean I'm not gonna like this book? Like, I don't understand. Or maybe you don't understand me as a reader, but I was like, this literally has everything that I love.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I loved book 1.
I think book 1 was incredible. I loved book 1. And I didn't.
Now I want to reread it.
I didn't hate book 2 and 3. I just didn't connect with the story or the characters the way I did in ACOTAR or Throne of Glass.
Mm-hmm. Book 1 was great.
Yeah. So. Book 1 just should have ended at book 1 and
it should have. It really should have.
It was like the scene with Danica when she was, whatever they call it, ascending or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like that was a scene that stuck with me for days after.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we have covered a lot. This was so much more.
This was a great conversation. And I think we're at a stalemate of it just depends. It varies. It works for some series. So like we said, like it works for Throne of Glass. It doesn't work for ACOTAR. It's halfway works for Crescent City, right? If we're just using SJM as the baseline.
Yeah.
And then it does not work for the High Mountain Court.
Yeah. Fuck A.K. Mulford too.
Yeah. Because we didn't read anything after that. I was like, I'm not reading anything after this. Nope.
No. Nope.
Not happening.
All right, authors, careful with your character deaths.
And this goes back to the argument. I think we've talked about it before. The death takes place like in the last 5 chapters. So it's like tarnished my whole journey, my whole love of this world of magic with the colors and then the poker scene and like all the things. And then we have this and then it ends. And I'm just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. Yeah. Total whiplash.
So placement of the death matters too. Placement.
Absolutely. Yep. All right.
This was a great conversation.
It was. It was a really good conversation.
I enjoyed this. Ready.
All right, listeners, let us know, do you feel like character deaths positively impact your reading experience? Does it make the book or series more memorable? Let us know over on Instagram and tag us at Bones of the Story, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the journey into the shadows of love, where dark romance stories come to light.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bones of the Story as much as we did. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us.
And to stay updated on all things dark romance, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We'd also love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ideas, or even your own dark romance stories with us. Drop us a line at bonesofthestory@gmail.com.
Remember, our next tantalizing episode is just around the corner, so keep your hearts open and your senses sharp.
Until then, embrace the darkness and let the stories continue to stir your deepest desires.
This is Misty
and Jen
signing off
from Bones of the Story.